Hello, my name is Elenid and I'm an inner truth teacher and coach. Do you ever find yourself using your imagination to create horrible scenarios about what could happen in the future? That's called worrying, and most people do it all the time. And it wouldn't be such a big problem if it didn't cause so much stress and anxiety. Now, this is not about denying that unpredictable things can happen or that there are tough situations in life. It's rather about not letting those things hijack your mind and emotions. Worrying is extremely toxic. It creates stress, and by now we all know how damaging stress can be. It's not a secret anymore. It's the cause of a lot of diseases, and that's why when you go to the doctor because something is hurting or you have a problem, they often ask you if you have stress. And then they tell you to reduce it, but they don't tell you how to do it. Because worrying is so common for humans that it's just simply accepted in society. The goal is not to never worry again, but to simply reduce this detrimental habit. And yes, that's what it is, a habit, a practice. Have you heard people say, well, that's just the way I am. I worry all the time. And of course, that's the way you are if that's what you've been practicing for years and years. I used to be like that too, until I began practicing awareness and more empowering perspectives, which I will share with you in this video as well. I've changed so many thinking patterns in my life, and one of the most fascinating things for me was realizing that I could live worry-free. Sometimes other people are actually more worried about my so-called problems than I am. What's amazing is that situations or problems don't even have to change before you can feel the peace, confidence, and trust. Because you can certainly solve problems while worrying, but why do it that way if you can also solve them with peace and even fun and creativity? Now I will share 5 practices that will help you live worry-free and elevate the quality of your life in so many ways. The first practice is very simple. Look around. Look around you. An instant way to interrupt a state of worry is to physically look around wherever you are and recognize that in this moment there is no actual threat. If you're watching this video, I can say with confidence that there's no threat around you. Maybe you're sitting comfortably on your sofa or at the desk at work, but right now you're safe. I learned this practice from Eckhart Tolle, whose teachings are all about the present moment. This practice has remained one of my favorite ones ever since. It works every single time because it brings you back to the present moment, which is all there is and which is that where all your power lies. The second practice is look back. Look back at all the difficulties you've already overcome in your life. Most likely, whatever you're worrying about right now is actually small compared to some big challenges that you already survived or mastered in the past. So why wouldn't you be able to handle a new challenge if today you are the most experienced, the wisest, and the most prepared you've ever been? This can be a mantra for you. I certainly use it very, very often for myself. I am the wisest and the smartest I've ever been. The third practice is to acknowledge that you've always been supported. Have you ever heard someone say, I did it all by myself? Well, that's never true. Whatever thing you achieved, there were always people who helped you in some way. Someone gave you, for example, useful information, or someone encouraged you, someone gave you an opportunity, or even if they sold you something that you needed. That was support. And this is something very positive. It's comforting because it reminds you that you're connected to others, that there are people who will support you, often when you least expect it. I have seen this happen in my life very, very often. countless times. And beyond people, life itself has been supporting you all these years. This is the most important thing. I often say in coaching sessions, life has been carrying you this entire time. How old are you? 25, 30, 50 years old? That is a long time to be supported by life. Somehow, despite all the uncertainty, you're still here. You have nothing but evidence that you are supported. The fourth practice is to face the worst case scenario. I know it can be scary, but worry can only survive when you keep a scary scenario in your mind without really looking into it. So while fear feels real, the story in your mind isn't real at all. It's a thought. We fear things we haven't fully explored, things we don't really know. So the practice is to consciously explore the scary scenario. Go all the way into it. I once spoke with a woman who was extremely worried about receiving important letters while she was away from home for a few weeks. She feared missing something urgent and getting into serious trouble because of that. So I guided her through a few questions. I asked her first, what would happen if you received an important letter while you're gone? And she answered, I might have to pay a fine if I don't respond in time, maybe even a big one. Then I asked her, okay, so what could you do to prevent that? And she replied, well, I could actually ask a friend to check my mailbox regularly, but still, I wouldn't be able to answer the letters myself. So I asked her, can you think of any solution to that? And instantly, her energy shifted and she said with a tone of relief, of course, I could give my friend power of attorney so they could handle it for me. It was that quick. Only 3-4 questions and she was already feeling more confident and feeling much better. What was beautiful about that conversation was realizing that the real fear wasn't about the letters. It was the fear of being alone and unsupported, because she was someone who struggled to ask for help. She felt disconnected from others. Fear and worry come from the illusion that you are disconnected from other people and from life itself. So face that scary scenario in your mind and you'll find the solutions. The fifth practice is more advanced and incredibly rewarding. It's about seeing challenges as something exciting. I learned a lot about this process from Bashar. The idea is that every challenge in your life is not random. It's not a random punishment, but a custom-made opportunity for the expansion of your awareness. When you begin to see difficulties this way, victimization will end and your human awareness will increase. Situations then become less of a threat and more of an interesting invitation. If you practice looking at life's events as purposeful, your experience of being alive will feel much lighter. One significant time I applied this practice was a moment when I checked my bank account and I realized I only had €5 left. I felt how I started getting worried and fearful, but before it got worse, I remembered that I could use the situation in my favor instead of against me. And suddenly, I started laughing. I said to myself out loud, how did you end up here? €5? Really? You had more money when you were a student. And instead of collapsing emotionally, I became creative. I started brainstorming ideas. I thought about ways to create income, people I could contact, jobs I could do, or things I could sell, and it became an exciting process. Not long afterwards, I received a payment from a client, and I was offered interesting job opportunities. One of the best things is that I saved myself a lot of psychological torture. I'm not saying that it's always gonna be easy, but the more you practice, the better at it you will get. Because again, this is practice. And finally, I want to emphasize once again the importance of the present moment because it is the foundation of your emotional, your personal, and spiritual development. The present moment is not about time. The present moment is you, along with everything your current life situation contains. If you disregard who you are right now and what's happening in your life, the good things and the bad things, you lose the opportunity for growth and for the evolution of your consciousness. Let me know in the comments what resonated with you about this important topic and how these practices helped you. Try them, they will change your life. I'll see you next time.